We are incredibly honored to have four-term North Carolina Governor James B. Hunt, Mrs. Carolyn Hunt, and their daughter Rachel Hunt, yes, Rachel, with us today. I have such great memories of Governor and Mrs. Hunt's visits to the Smart Start partnership I was at in Eastern North Carolina before coming to Charlotte to encourage Smart Start's work in the early years. I know the same happened here in Mecklenburg. Governor and Mrs. Hunt are true Smart Start champions. Governor Hunt has devoted much of his life to his vision for education excellence. He grew up in rural Eastern North Carolina with imprints of his mother's teaching that every student can learn and that all deserve a high-quality education. It is the vision and imprint that has guided him throughout his life to improve student performance and be nationally renowned as the education governor. Governor Hunt was relentless in educating others about the importance of investing in the early years. He still is, by the way, sorry, I'll just warn you now. He traveled the state tirelessly to make sure this program was scaling to serve every county and to work with the business community to bring them along in this work that was previously important mainly only to folks in the early childhood field. With Governor Hunt and Mrs. Hunt, we had audacious champions who never passed up an opportunity to talk about the critical importance of the early years. Under his guidance, Smart Start received the prestigious Innovations in American Government Award from the Ford Foundation and the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University. The Hunt Institute, established in 2001 and housed at Duke University's Sanford School of Public Policy, honors the legacy of James B. Hunt. Their mandate is to inspire elected officials and key policymakers to make informed decisions that result in improving the lives of all children through quality education. Equity is at the core of the Hunt Institute in educational access, quality, and opportunity. Governor Hunt speaks Charlotte-Mecklenburg's language of all children in every zip code, and we are extremely honored to have him with us today. Please join me in welcoming Governor James B. Hunt.
Thank you, you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, please. Thank you. Well, Nancy Hughes, thank you very much. I wondered, she's only been here about a year. And coming in this morning, I didn't know how, had she gotten going with this thing here? Nancy, you're great. I believe Mecklenburg went out, as you usually do. I think you went out to get the best. And you've got a terrific leader here. And all of you who are leaders here today, this is a terrific group. And I am very proud to be here with you on the 25th anniversary of the best program supporting early childhood from birth up in America. I appreciate you mentioning my good wife, Carolyn, who was the honorary chairman of Smart Start. When we started it out, folks didn't know anything about this. It didn't exist. And Carolyn Hunt went with the leaders of Smart Start all over this state, telling the story of the early years and what could happen with these children, as you all have been talking about it this morning and seeing it in these videos. And North Carolinians responded, just as you have done in such a wonderful way. And so we are proud to be here with you today, and I want to congratulate you on this great crowd and on all the things you've done. As you've come in this morning, I didn't get to speak to all of you. but I spoke to a lot of you. And I read your tags, and I asked you what you do. And you're doing these marvelous things in businesses and in education and child care, both public and private. It takes all of this to help your children become all they can be and all they should be. And I like to say all God wants them to be. And that's true. But I'm delighted to be here on your celebration of the 25th anniversary. And I want to tell you a little history. In fact, I'm tempted to ask how many people have been here for the last 25 years. I'm not going to do that. But I know a lot of you who have been, and thank goodness for you. And thank goodness for all of you who are supporting this in such a wonderful way. I got this idea. By the way, my wife was trying to tell me what was going on with these little children. I've never known a better mother than my wife, Carolyn. And she was telling me, what do you have to do with them? How do you have to help them? How do you have to encourage them, support them, love them? You all know this. And she was teaching me. And I wasn't learning quickly enough. But I finally began to get it. And then when I was leading North Carolina, I had been governor of this state for 2 terms. I was the first 2-term governor in the state's history. Was followed by a great governor, Jim Martin, from here. And then I followed him. And I came back in for 2 more terms. During all of that time, I was learning about children, about their development from birth on. Some people believe before birth. What was going on? The scientists were learning things about children and brain development. And believe me, those folks in business who wanted to have the brightest, smartest, best people working for them were taking notice. And during all that time, we got Smart Start started, or we were on the way to, we were thinking about it. By the way, when I was the lieutenant governor, I helped put in public school kindergartens. A lot of you in this room think we've always had them. My wife had them when she was a child in central Iowa. Well, we didn't have them until the mid-1970s. We had a wonderful Republican governor named Jim Holzhauser who ran on it. And I was running for lieutenant governor, and I ran on it. And we put it in. And we may have the best public school kindergarten program in the country. But so we had started that. And by the way, this is an interesting thing. When the program, the bill to create kindergarten, public school kindergarten, paid for by the taxpayers, when that was before the legislature, I was standing up there presiding over the Senate as the lieutenant governor. And up there in the gallery was a person from Charlotte, Mecklenburg County. He was a lobbyist sent to Raleigh by this county to lobby for putting public school kindergarten into our schools or into our system in North Carolina. You had a lot of support for it here, and Charlotte said the state ought to have it and we're going to push it. I'm proud of that. You ought to be proud of it. This county has always been a leader. You've looked ahead. You've thought of not what you are now, but what you can be. And I was so proud that you did that then. By the way, I've got to mention the state legislators who are here, because Smart Start is funded largely by the legislature. We've had the funds up at a very high level at times, and they're not as high now as it ought to be, and hope it will be again. But Senator Jeff Tart is here, and Senator Jeff Jackson, Representative Mary Belk. We're proud of all of them. I think they all stood up, but they have them stand up again. I want you all to see the legislators who are here doing big things. And when you see the others, ask them where they were. I'm serious. But most people get it. But they need to understand where you can be most effective. And you all know, and this is about it. So we got started, and in 1992, as this is a little more history for you on this 25th anniversary. In 1992, the legislature, now this is before we created Smart Start, 1992, the legislature created a study commission on child care, and it was chaired by two legislators from Mecklenburg County. One of them was named Ruth Easterling. I don't know how many of you remember Ruth. She was about 5 feet tall, maybe 5'2". My Rachel is 5'2". And boy, was she a dynamo. And the other one was Senator Jim Richardson. Some of you may remember him, great friend of mine, and a great leader in the legislature of North Carolina. Those two people led a study commission on child care. Folks, this is when we started out. This is how we started out. The goals of that study commission were to lower staff-child ratios. You know that an adult can only take care of so many little bitty children if they're going to do it right and good. Another goal, more state funds for higher quality centers. More state funds. You have to put it in education, and this is one of the most important areas. Now, most of the funding still comes from private sources and from parents, but the state needs to do its share. A third goal, higher training, higher standards for training for child care workers. You can't just put anybody in there taking care of these little children. They need to understand what's going on in their life, what's going on in the development of their brains, how you have to take care of them for them to become the best they can be, like you want your children to be and your grandchildren. Carol and I have 10. So you gotta understand what is happening in their lives at that most crucial time in their life. And the fourth goal was to back background checks for child care workers. When you're going to be hiring somebody to work in a child care center, you want to make sure that it's a good person and a qualified person. And that was one of the goals, to do that. So, we created that study commission, chaired by those two great people from Mecklenburg County. And then, so they were doing their work for a whole year. Led by Mecklenburg County legislators, that study commission was going on. Then I was elected in 1992, same time. And in 1993, the legislature came to Raleigh, and I proposed creating the North Carolina Partnership for Children, Smart Start. The idea was not to create another state agency to try to run things from Raleigh. I'd been governor 2 terms. I knew that didn't necessarily work as well as we wanted it to. We wanted to create a statewide organization that would have local groups, your local Smart Start partnerships, which you have here. You're a part of it this morning. No other state in America had done it that way. But the legislature passed it. And by the way, it was not easy to pass it. We had to fight for it. We had to work for it. But we did. And then those partnerships were created all over North Carolina. A local 501c3, a local partnership, as you have here now, that is working very, very well. Those boards were to represent the various partners in children's development. And so you have great people who are on that board. You've got Nancy here now, who is the executive director, and your wonderful chairman who started this meeting. And the focus was to be on birth to 5. The state board was created. We've got 2 members of it here today. Liz Weiner is here. Liz, stand up. And a fellow named Bob Edwards. Where's Bob Edwards? There he is, back there, on the first board. Bob, I put you on there 25 years ago and you're still here. Oh. Well, don't worry about that. It won't happen to you. But the board has done a great job. Now let me tell you what you're a part of. You as members of the board here, as supporters, as folks who support and who run child care centers and help make them good for all the children. You are doing, I think, the most important work that's being done in our society. Now, you're looking at a man who's been in government a long time. I know a lot about schools. When I was governor, I learned how to do volunteer work in schools from my wife, Carolyn, who's a teacher. She went, when we were in the governor's chair, every week, she's a professional teacher, but she went over to 2 different schools and volunteered every week. And she said, you ought to do it too. And I did. I volunteered every week in a public school. But I was also learning about what happens in child development. And we were learning so much. And we were learning that those years, 0 to 5, are so crucial, so important, and that the things that we need to do to help children in those years include health care and family support, early care and education. I like to say we want to help our children to become the best they can be. We want them to develop and to learn and to start school that first day when they're so excited, healthy and ready to learn. That's what we want to do for every child in Mecklenburg County and all over North Carolina. And guess what? We can do it if we want to do it, if we work at it, if we're smart about it. And we've learned more and more about early brain development. I said that Governor Holshouser and I put in the first public school kindergarten. That was about 1973 or 4. At that time, we said the age of 5 years is so important, and it was. And then the scientists started telling us, well, wait a minute. We've discovered more about child development. And it turns out 5-year-olds are really important, but during the 4th year, brain development is happening. And then they started saying it's even earlier than that. And a lot of people now start talking about 0 to 3, how important those years are, and now even 0 to 2. The scientists are telling us those things, folks. We're not just imagining it. They are studying. They can see the brain now. Did you know that? They can watch that development of the brain. And of course, we can see how children are acting and how they're picking up and what they're perceptive to. So I am delighted to be here in Mecklenburg County, the largest county in North Carolina, a county where I probably spent more time, at least out of the governor's office, than any county in this state. I have recruited more industries to Mecklenburg County than any governor in history. And we need more. I'm very proud that you're working right now on raising $100,000, and I want to challenge everybody here today to help them do this. $100,000 to launch a program aimed at servicing 10,000 additional families with support and brain development information. That's a goal of Mecklenburg County Smart Start. Well, let me tell you something. I'm looking at this group. You're smart people. I know a lot of you. You represent all these great nationwide, worldwide companies. I've been in most of your headquarters all over America. But I want to tell you this. I was in Guilford County celebrating their Smart Start work a little while back. And you know what they said to me? They said, Governor, we're going to make Guilford County the best county for early childhood development, for child development. We're going to make it the best county in America. They didn't say we're going to make it the best county in North Carolina. They didn't say we're going to beat Mecklenburg County. This is Greensboro, High Point. They think they're going to be the best in America. That's what they're shooting for. Now, you all work for these big banks and these big companies and all the rest. You going to let Guilford County and Greensboro beat you? I think you ought to take them up on that, Karen. And I'll tell them that you're going to do it if you tell me. So, folks, here we are, having learned so much, caring so much. There's Marjorie Tate out there who led this effort through all these years, and so many of you working with her. But here we are with our Smart Start program. It's been copied all over the country. I had governors call me, can we emulate your Smart Start program? And I've spoken in most of their states over the years. Here we are in Guilford County. This county with so many great companies and great jobs. And we're celebrating the 25th anniversary, and think of what we have learned. And I know about your commitment. I know how you care. I know something about your churches and your civic clubs and all these other things. This is a great place of caring people who do great things. And you can do more. So today, on this 25th anniversary, I hope that you will recommit yourselves. We've learned a lot. We've got a lot left to learn. But we know enough now to know that it is the smartest. It is morally right, by the way. It is also the smartest thing we can do economically to help these little children get a good start and become as smart as they can be, and help us all to achieve great things. If you're a business person and you want to make profits and compete successfully, Smart Start is for you. if you're in a church or synagogue or whatever your place of worship, if you want to do what we're called to do as good human beings and children of God, Smart Start is for you and for all of us. So I urge you on the 25th anniversary, let's get going in the next 25. Let's tell the country and the world, these companies we're bringing into Mecklenburg County are worldwide companies. We want to compete and win in that world competition. The smartest thing we can do, we want education at all the levels, but the smartest single thing we can do is to get these children started early. And I want to challenge you today to make Mecklenburg County a place that does early childhood so well, and make it here in this county a place where early childhood is the best that it can be, that it should be, that it must be. Thank you and good luck in the next 25 years. Thank you. You're kind. Thank you.